Hey there, it's another edition of the 7-Figure Boss Show. In this show, we have conversations with 7, 8, 9, 10 figure under 40 CEOs who come here to share their inspiring stories and also tell us how their smartphones have been instrumental to their success. They don't just stop there, they go right on to teaching us how we can start or get into their very line of business using just our smartphone. Are you excited already? Let's jump right in. Today on the 7-Figure Boss Show, we are going to be hosting a man that I respect so much, whose advice before I even started business have really been instrumental to my growth in business so far, and it's such an honor to have him on my show today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Nnamdi Ibe. You're welcome to the 7-Figure Boss Show, sir, and it's such an honor to have you honor this request. It's such an honor to have you honor this request to be on this show. Please kindly introduce yourself to our audience.
All right, I should introduce myself. My name is Nnamdi Ibe. I'm a business consultant, entrepreneur, and professional troublemaker. I'm senior partner at Excel and Grace Consulting, where we help business owners and entrepreneurs build profitable empires, profitable business empires that would outlive them. And I've been doing this for over a decade, and it's exciting. I love what I do. I love the idea that African business owners can build businesses and empires that can dominate the globe. That we can build businesses that will transcend Africa. And that's what I love to do, and that's who I am.
You may not really understand what he means by professional troublemaker until you follow him across his social media handles that I'm going to be linking on the video description down below. So you're welcome, sir. So the first question for you, sir, is what is the drive behind your success, and what has been the experience so far, the lessons you've learned so far in your business, and also what have been the most difficult experience you've encountered while starting out in business?
I started my business journey in Ariaria Market in Aba. So I had just finished university, and a cousin of mine was running a pharmacy at that time in Port Harcourt, and I had finished exams and he was incapacitated. He couldn't run the business because he had an accident. And so as I finished my exams, I came to Port Harcourt and I basically ran his business for 2 years. Now, he was major supplier of pharmaceutical drugs and drugs to NLNG Bonny in River State. And so in managing his business, I had to deal with bringing in drugs from Aba, Onitsha, and some from the UK. But majority of the drugs came from Aba and Onitsha. And so I had to drive to Aba on a daily basis for the better part of 2 years. And so in driving to Aba, interacting with them, we'll bring the drugs to Port Harcourt, process them, and take them to NLNG. Now, as I was doing that, I began to notice a difference in certain things. I noticed that the way NLNG does things and the way these guys do things in Aba, there was a serious difference. And so I began to take notes of what was happening in LNG. This is how they do this, this is how they do this, this is how they do this. And from my notes, I began to teach those guys in Aba, to share my insights with them that, okay, why not try to do things this way? Why not try to write your invoices this way? Why not try to package your things this way? And so some of them began to listen. What that meant was transactions that used to take me 1 week, 3 days, 5 days, began to take me 1 day. So before, I would go to Aba, pick up the drugs, come back, spend the whole day sorting them out, and then maybe send them the next day, because I'll find out that some drugs are not there or something. But as I began to share some of the things I was observing in NLNG, they began to implement them. So I moved from doing deliveries once every 3 days to once in 2 days to once every day, and eventually to once in 2-3 times. There was even some incidents where I did 3 deliveries in a day. That's I'll go to Aba, pick up, and take straight to NLNG, because the insights that I was sharing to them was working for them. And so that was what opened my mind. That whole experience opened my mind to business and then to consulting, because a few years later, when I started my own business, I began to make the same mistakes one-man businesses make, where you do things anyhow, everything was all about you, and there was no order, there was no structure, and a lot of those businesses failed. I even did a business of about 9 point something million naira, and I didn't make any money. And so at one of those, terrible moments where I was feeling like I had been defeated, I ran into my notes from the NLNG period and began to flip through them. And I saw some things that, were in my head, but I had forgotten. And so I picked some of them and started to apply them in the businesses I was doing. And as I applied them, I saw results. I applied them and saw results. I said, okay, look, we're going to go deep into this. And I began to apply them, and learn much more. And, my businesses began to do a bit better. And then for the consulting side came from where I had, as I learned, I began to share some insights and ideas with people, which was exciting for me. And one day I gave somebody an advice for something, and he went to implement it. It was about a month or so later, he called me and asked for my account number, that the advice I gave him worked. And then I sent it to him, and he sent me 100K. This was like 2009 or 2008, 2009, around that period, 2010. He sent me 100K. And in my head, I was like, oh, really? So there's money in this consulting thing. And, we jumped into it. And so I've been doing that ever since, helping people do business better. I've worked in a few places, but consulting has been the major thing that has been my drive. My drive comes from helping people see that they can build empires that will outlive them, helping people see that the difference between what is done in the US and what they do in the UK is order, it's structure. There's got to be a system to all these things. What has been my most difficult experience? Dealing with failure. So I once started a business with some really incredible people here in Nigeria, where we had branches in Port Harcourt, Lagos, Enugu, and even in Abuja. And that business failed after we had put in almost 30 million naira into that business. I almost went into depression. It was not I went into depression because the business failed around the period when I had just gotten married. So imagine not something you had given the better part of 4 years of your life crumbling down. So that has been one of the hardest parts for me generally in business, is dealing with failure, because I've had to confront it a couple of times, but the more I do it, the better I become. The truth is, I'm at a point in my life as a business owner where I'm already prepared for the worst, because even though you plan everything out well for your business, there's still a great probability that it will fail. So that you try something and it doesn't work doesn't mean you're a failure. You just found a way that doesn't work. So even if your business, eventually you try it and you're at a point where, look, this thing is not working, it's okay to shut it down, mourn the business, and come back and try something else, or try the business again. But kicking a dead horse is one of the worst things that you do. I think that has been one of the most difficult things for me, letting go when something has failed.
I believe everybody finds it difficult to let go when something has failed. I've also encountered a lot of failure while starting out. That actually, indeed, as he said, actually got me to learn lessons, and also discovered ways that does not work, and then try to do things that work, that here we are today. All right, thank you so much for that answer. The next question is, how can CEOs manage their business successfully with their smartphones?
How can a busy CEO manage a business with their smartphone? My experience with with phones, I started using phones where the screens were like calculators, the first GSM phones that came into Nigeria. So we used phones from back then. But it's incredible for me to see what a mobile phone has become. And it hurts sometimes for me to see CEOs and business owners, or even employees, not utilize all the functions that you can do with your mobile phone. You can use your mobile phone to, like some of the things that I do, I plan my day with my Google Calendar. So I know everything that I'm supposed to do a week ahead of time, sometimes 2 weeks ahead of time. I'm able to keep my notes, manage. I don't keep a lot in my head. It's either I'm writing or I'm typing them in notes. I use Evernote for that. I'm able to schedule appointments. I'm able to schedule meetings, virtual meetings. I'm able to manage effectively what my team does using tools like Asana. I'm able to monitor tasks and reports, all of these using my smartphone. I'm able to send invoices. I'm able to monitor bank transactions. All of this using my phone. The mobile phone is no longer just for phone calls. It's a tool. It's a warehouse for solutions that can help you dominate in your business, especially if you're able to, connect that mobile phone to your desktop or your system. So a lot of what you do on your laptop, you can do a lot of them on your phones. And so, yes, one other tip I would like to give here. If you run a business and you want to be taken seriously as a business, stop using Gmail for your business. Gmail has an enterprise version where you can be your name or your designation at your company name. You must be able to have that if you want to be taken seriously as a global business. Make sure you have, and the funny thing is getting those domain names are cheap. If you don't know how to do it, talk to somebody like Nnamdi, Fred. He can help you. Get a domain name that is your name at yourcompanyname.com. It gives you leverage. It makes people take you more seriously. And secondly, stop using your personal account for business. Have go to the bank and open a separate account that is in your business. Register your business. These are basic things you should know if you truly want to build a successful business, a business that is not just about you. I hope I didn't digress.
So I'm glad now it's also coming from a business consultant on how you as a CEO, a business owner, an entrepreneur can leverage your smartphone to grow your business, manage your employees. And you've heard all that he said on that question. Now, another question, sir, is what would you say is the biggest mistake that CEOs make that sometimes can cost them their business over time?
I'll tell you two. Number one, not taking responsibility for the business. And two, thinking that they can do everything on their own. Now, what do I mean by not taking responsibility for the business? If you ask most business owners why their businesses are struggling or why they failed, they will either tell you it's the economy, it's the president, it's the staff, it's the employee, somebody. You will never hear many of them say, it was my fault. Where you are in your business today is your fault. Where it will be tomorrow is your responsibility. Now, let me explain how it's your fault. Who started the business? Who chose the business name? Who chose the industry? Who chose the brand? Who is responsible for the marketing? Who hired the staff? Who chose the location? Who refuses to go for training? Who is refusing to pay for training? Who is hiring cheap employees? Who is doing all those things? You. So where your business is today is your fault. Where it will be tomorrow is your responsibility, because the decisions you will make today will determine what will happen in your business tomorrow. You see how that works? So that's the first mistake I've noticed business owners make. The second mistake business owners make is thinking they could do it alone. Good. If you want to go far, assemble a team, a very functional team that can do 80 to 90% of the work. So you as the business owner do the work only you as MD CEO can do. You can't build a business empire alone. You must need people. And not just needing people, you must need quality people, quality, reasonable people, employees that are unsackable. Yes, I was going to go there. Nnamdi, I'm going to give you a book, okay? In that book, it's a free book, and I will send the details to you. It's called Seriously, How Good Is Your Idea? Now, before you actually start the business, focus on making sure that there is a business in what you want to start. The most important thing you need to focus on or put in place is make sure there are customers for the business you want to sell or the business you want to get into. How do you do that? If it means you need to, let's say you want to sell pure water, you don't need to go start a pure water factory with the little money you have. Go and buy pure water from some other person and try to sell it. Build your customer base. You want to start baking cakes. Go and partner with somebody who bakes cakes already. Let the person bake the cakes. You try selling them first. The business is not in making what you sell. The business is in selling. That's the business. The business is not in cooking food. The business is in selling food. The business is not in making clothes. The business is in selling clothes. And so pay attention to your capacity to sell first. That's the most important thing you should put in place. Every other thing becomes support for selling the thing that you want to sell. Okay?
Before you start a business, make sure there are customers for that business. Make sure there are people that are going to or willing to buy into that thing that you're selling or buy what you are selling. Every time if you've submitted proposals for or maybe attended any seed capital events or competitions, you always get to be asked the market size of your business, right? And then he advised also importantly, hey, you can link up with people that are already in that business and study what they are doing, see what they are doing, and find out if that idea that you have is actually a business worthy idea. There are some ideas that are actually an NGO worthy idea, all right, a non-for-profit idea, okay, and there are some that are really marketable. Thank you so much for that question, sir. 3 apps that helps you manage your business daily with your phone.
Top 3 apps I use for business management on a daily basis. Number 1, I use Asana. Number 2, I use Invoice by Wave. Number 3, I use Seller. Number 4, I can give you some more. Number 5, I use Instagram. Number 5, of course, I use SendFox for my email marketing. So those are the top 5 that I use, and all of them function on my mobile phone.
Wow, all of the apps that he mentioned, I'm going to link them on the description down below so you can get them, check them out, and also see how you can leverage these apps to manage your business with your phone. All right, sir, please tell us about the book Unsackable that is forthcoming, and also there's a conference that is forthcoming with the how did I say this? Is it the who's? Is it the who and who? With the kingpins, yes, I think that's right. Queenpins and kingpins of business in this country, Nigeria, that you shouldn't miss. And that conference is actually going to be a bonus, a free event, only if you get a copy of the book Unsackable. So briefly tell us how the book is going to be helpful to a business owner or to an employee, and also share how we can get a copy of the book. And finally, let's bring them all together, and finally tell us how we can also reach you after this interview, either to make inquiries about the book or to consult you. He's a business consultant, so you can consult him about maybe if you're stumbled on a hurdle in your business. He is the one that will lift you up and show you how to jump through. So please tell us how we can reach you, and also tell us more about the book Unsackable.
So about the book that's coming out, the book is titled Unsackable: How to Be the Employee That Bosses Refuse to Sack. Now, my thinking is simple. None of us, most of us who run small businesses, we cannot compete to pay the kind of salary companies like Shell pay to hire the best staff. And so we need to deal with the employees that are available, who we are seeing around us now. There are no two ways about it, because we don't have a factory where they manufacture human beings. So we deal with what's available. And you as an employee also, there's no place you can go and become rinsed, where they'll take you, rinse you, and you become an exceptional employee. So we have to put in the work. What's that work we need to do? That's what I've put into that book. In that book, I talk about how you can become a useful employee. People are not hiring you because of your certificates. They're not hiring you for the degrees that you have. They are hiring you because they have problems, and you have demonstrated that you are useful in solving those problems. The end. So how do you become useful? Those are the things I address in the book. And one of the things I talk about there is you as an employee understanding why you are working where you work. Forget all the things they tell you about it. I'm working there because I want to help the company achieve its goals. I want to do this. I want to do that. I don't believe that. That's not the major reason you're working where you're working. You work where you work because you yourself, you want to benefit first. That's the primary reason you go to work. The primary reason your employees come to work for you is because they want to take care of themselves and their bills. This is important if you are in Nigeria, if you do business or you work in Nigeria. That's the primary reason you work where you work. Now, if that's the reason, and tell yourself the truth, that's the reason, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I talk more in the book about other things you need to attach to that primary reason to make sure it doesn't suffocate you. Because if you go to work every day only because of that primary reason, then you will not become unsackable. I talk about it a lot in the book, okay? For you to get a copy, I think he asked that Nnamdi, good. For you to get a copy, just follow Excel and Grace on Instagram and click the link in bio or check any of the posts. You will see details of how to order the book. Pre-order the book. It's currently on pre-order now for 3,500 naira. And if you pre-order now, you will join the upcoming conference called How We Got Here, where I'm gathering successful business owners and career people from different walks of life, including the military, to come and share their insights into how they became successful in business and how they became successful in their career, particularly regarding dealing with people, managing people, dealing with employees, dealing with bosses, all those conversations. We're going to have over 20 people discussing these things. So you will see all that details. I can share a link to you, Nnamdi. Only those who pre-order the book will have access to that conference. All right, you want to reach me? It's simple. Simply send them, go to Excel, go to at Excel and Grace, one word, Excel, EXCELANDGRACE, at Excel and Grace on Instagram, and send us a DM or click the link in bio to send us a message on WhatsApp, and we'll be glad to talk to you and share some insights into a whole lot of things that regard business. You can also see some of our content on Instagram, and you get to see deep insights about, get some lessons. There's enough food on business for you to eat there, okay? Thank you, Nnamdi, for this, and I hope this was good.
And that's a wrap on today's edition of the 7-Figure Boss Show. Today we spoke with Mr. Nnamdi Ibe, a senior consultant, a professional troublemaker, and also a senior partner at Excel and Grace Consulting, who came to share with us how our smartphone can also be used to manage our business successfully. And he also shared a lot of tips on how a fresh graduate can get started on a business, and also how a CEO can manage his or her business with his phone, plus mistakes that CEOs make without even knowing that could cost them their business. Stay tuned for more interviews with 7-figure bosses that come to teach us how our smartphone can be instrumental to our success. I hope you enjoyed this moment with me. Thank you for watching. My name is Frederick, your host. See you on the next one.